And the crowd is bigger tonight, Robbie. The atmosphere will lift, and it can only be good for these players.
First set.
Tsitsipas won the toss and is elected to serve first. John Fitzgerald alongside me, and we'll touch base with Brad Stein, who is courtside this evening. Let's get it on.
Out.
Love team.
Quite obvious in the early stages who the majority of this crowd are for here on Rod Laver Arena.
Yeah, and I think he's going to need it. I think he's going to have to draw on the energy. It's going to be fascinating to see how much he's got in his legs. It's something he's worked on, he said. Fitness, he realized 2 years ago he needed to do a lot more of it. That was 2 years ago here, if you remember, Fitzy, where he beat Nadal, excuse me, where he beat Federer, but then lost badly to Rafa. And he said that's when he realized that in order to get to the sharp end of these events, he really needed to work on his strength, his fitness.
Out.
Tsitsipas is going to be inclined to stand up in the court more in this match. He likes being on the baseline so that it gives him a chance to hit the ball early, go to the net, follow a transition towards the net. Medvedev plays a lot more of his tennis from a metre or two, sometimes 3 behind the baseline.
As you like.
As we know from a couple of years ago at the U.S. Open, he doesn't mind being the bad guy in the matches, and in some ways he lets that motivate him. So I don't think the crowd is going to affect him one way or the other. And then as far as, I think, Fitzy, you made a great point with their court position. You know, Stefanos likes to step up and be in the court a little bit more, but we generally think of that as creating an advantage, but Daniil's very comfortable being further back and counter-punching, and he wants to make it a war of attrition and just make Stefanos have to work his tail off for every point.
Yeah, we've been speaking a lot about how hard Tsitsipas had to work in his match against Nadal, coming back from 2 sets to love down. Only the second player ever to beat Nadal at a major with a 2-set deficit. But of course, Medvedev was struggling at the end of his match against Rublev. Let's not forget that. He had cramps.
Gee, that's a big second serve in the early days. Really opened his shoulders on that one, did Daniil.
It was something that became a bit of a calling card for him in Cincinnati a few years ago.
Out.
Struggling against Novak in the semi-finals, Fitzy. I think he was down a set and a break, starting to cramp, and he just started hitting these second serve. He basically hit 2 first serves. Got him through that match, and it was the same in the finals against David Goffin.
Brad, they also have different types of balls, don't they? Tsitsipas is hit with more topspin. It loops and clears the net by more, especially on the forehand wing. And Medvedev's is quite low in his trajectory. It's really a flat ball that he produces.
Yeah, Fitz, you couldn't be more correct. And I think the interesting thing in that is watching how they generate their swings. You'll see Stefanos creating much more of a circular motion in his swing. He sets the racket in his unit turn, and then the racket goes up and around, and he really drops it. Daniil, after his unit turn, racket goes up, but it never really drops all the way below the height of the ball. It kind of comes through it from a straight position there. And therein lies the difference in the rotation and the trajectory of their ball.
How important is that going to be for Stefanos this evening?
Well, I think that's a case in point of where he likes to get a ball from around the baseline and use this forehand, particularly the off forehand, to come forward with. And that's the one to come forward after. You don't want to hit that one across court and run in, or you can be in trouble with a running forehand from the opposition. Excellent 1-2 play there.
I'm also interested to hear both of your thoughts on when you've played against somebody like Nadal, who has worked you so hard. You've had so many balls. How does that set you up for the next opponent you play? Do you feel like you have so much time on every shot when you've played somebody of that intensity?
Well, I think in terms of intensity, if you can handle Rafa's intensity, you can handle anybody's. And getting used to the Rafa ball, I think, is very difficult, because it's like no other. It's like an explosion coming off the court at you. I always refer to it as like a hand grenade hitting the court and taking off towards you. And to control that power and bounce is very difficult. This ball is very different to that. Also not easy. This ball, in its flat trajectory, shoots through a lot more, and he will be inclined to hit the ball deeper, Medvedev, which can cause issues and problems for different styles of players. I remember we mentioned Jimmy Connors a few nights ago, and his ball was very low and flat and deep, and it really gave you trouble if you're trying to stand up on the baseline. And of course, this surface is quicker than most. So Medvedev's ball, flat and low, will go through the court and skid through a little bit. But in the early stages, it looks like Stefanos is having no problem with the speed or bounce of it.
Guys, I think also one key point to pay attention to in relationship to that whole conversation is that off the backhand side, Stefanos is going to find the ball way more often in his strike zone. He doesn't like the ball way up on him, which is where Rafa's ball was more.
A person who watches that camera, and if a guy does foot fault, boom, presses the button, and a call of foot fault comes out. An absolute beauty early on.
Brad, I'm keen to hear what you think. I think if he's going to take the speed off this ball, he shouldn't just hit a drop shot there, because that sits up. I think he needs to slice that ball low with some firmness to it. It'll be a little deeper in the court, but it'll be lower and harder to handle.
I agree, Fitz. I think that one of the things you have to do as a player is recognize where your opponent's most uncomfortable. And Daniil's most uncomfortable inside the service line. So if you can force him to come forward on your own terms a little bit, just like you said, Stefanos has the ability to slice that a little bit shorter and kind of reel him into the net.
And the slice short is a lot different to the drop shot.
30 love.
It certainly is.
On this surface, that drop shot, it comes up high. So a lot of the time, these players moving forward can get the ball at the top of the apex. And then they're in the box seat to win the point. You've really got to hit that drop shot perfectly. But if you slice it low, moving away, that's a different ball to handle. He's a cool customer, Medvedev, though, isn't he?
Isn't he just? He has got serious tennis IQ, a very smart individual. He's his coach, Gilles Savara, and wife, Daria. It's a great story about Gilles getting Daniil on the right path back in summer of 2017. He had just taken an overnight flight to Washington where Medvedev had lost. They drove to Canada. He played a poor match there. On the way back to Cincinnati, they had a heart-to-heart in the car about what he needs to do to be a better tennis player. And there was nowhere for him to go. He couldn't stop the car. And he laid it out and said he needs to become more professional. And Daniil bought into it. That was a major plot point in his career. Spending too many evenings playing video games, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Not dedicating himself enough to his craft. I think that's why he respects Gilles immensely. And like we saw the other night when he was struggling against Krajinovic, Gilles just walked out the stadium. There's not many coaches that would do that. Felt it was best for him. Medvedev was getting too animated. Gilles just walked out. Said, okay, I trust you to do the job on your own. If me being here irritates you, I'm going to leave.
Robbie, two things in relationship to that story you just told us. One, I think as coaches, we often do our best coaching away from the court, at dinners or over coffee in the morning, over breakfast, when it's just you and your player and there's no distractions and they're not irritated or frustrated on the court. And two, I think a lot of coaches wouldn't have walked away because they would have felt after the match when they tried to come back, they wouldn't have a job.
Yeah, well said, Brad. Lovely insight.
Probably the making of a coach's character. Stand up for what you believe. If you don't tell the player what you really, truly believe, what's the point? I've got to say, even when Brad Stein's listening to me, he is one of the best.
He really is.
I don't mind saying that, putting that on public record.
Yeah, of course.
From my opinion, Robbie.
Yours counts a lot. Coach Jim Courier to both his titles here in Melbourne. And right there's one of Medvedev's greatest strengths, his ability to put balls in play, neutralize the power hitter's power. He did it so well against so many players, and he's doing it superbly again here against Tsitsipas, especially against Berrettini at the ATP Cup. That was incredible the way he dismantled him. Break point.
deuce.
Who's got the better serve here tonight, Robbie?
Wow.
They're both pretty effective, aren't they?
Yeah. They certainly aren't the purest of motions. I think Steph's is a little bit better. I know his ball toss goes left a little too much. Daniil's motion, I don't think, is as good, but his ability to improvise is unbelievable.
He likes that backhand down the line.
Doesn't he just?
He's a master at that.
Medvedev.
And the great players are good at it. The best, you'd have to say, is Novak Djokovic at this. Taking the ball, changing the direction of it, going over the high part of the net, which is more risk. But if you can make it, there's more reward on the end of that shot.
And once again, it's that backhand down the line that pays dividends.
Tsitsipas is requesting to see the call.
Medvedev strikes first. He leads 3-2.
Guys, I think it's really interesting, this continued conversation about court positioning. Stefanos being a little tighter and Daniil being a little deeper in the court. But Daniil, at this level, you take a risk every time you're swinging at the ball because of the aggressiveness. But you just very rarely see Daniil Medvedev confronting the bounce of the ball. He creates space on almost every ball, and in creating space, he creates a lot more safety in what he does. Even on those backhand down the lines in the last game, his spacing from the ball was so ideal.
So, Brad, you're saying that he doesn't get too close to the ball. He gives himself room to swing at it freely.
Yeah, I'm talking about spacing away from the bounce point, not so much your arms spaced away from yourself. He just doesn't confront the bounce. Stefanos has a tendency at times to step up into the bounce, which is great for taking time for your opponent, but it just creates a lot more risk within the swing.
Yeah, it becomes almost a half volley is what you're saying. So, yeah.
Decent service motion. Let's have a look at the ground reaction force. It gets off the ground nicely.
Cain Medvedev.
Give it at least an 8.5 out of 10.
Well, the benefit he has is he's 6'6" tall.
Can't teach tall, can you?
No, no, it's like real estate, you know. Most of us don't have any left, you know, like the height, but he's got 6'6" of trajectory with long arms down into the court. So it's not the most perfect motion. Oh, I'd take Nick Kyrgios or Pete Sampras, you know, but there's the crowd trying to get Tsitsipas back into this first set.
Now playing catch up here at 2-4.
He went the wrong way. Wrong way, Daniil. Drill that one down the line.
Guys, as you just said, the crowd just became involved. Absolute roar down here after that passing shot.
Thank you.
One of my pet hates, a cross court and run in. You feel lost in the headlights then. Well, he hasn't found his range yet like he had against Rafa the other night. His backhand was outstanding the other night for such a long period of time. He kept ripping it harder and harder, did Tsitsipas, and they all seem to go in. Tonight he's spraying a few.
Fitzhugh, perhaps after the opening 6 games, little surprised that Tsitsipas hasn't gone more to Medvedev's forehand.
Yeah, possibly. Look, I think you've got to go there. He did serve very well when it mattered most against Rafa the other night, did Tsitsipas, so he'll be relying on that.
Mr. Medvedev is requesting to see the call made on the right near sideline.
I don't know, that's a bit unnecessary. I'm not sure why the crowd would. Obviously a very pro Tsitsipas crowd here so far.
Guys, with no challenges available, should Daniil be able to ask to see that, though? We know it's in.
That's great off-the-ball movement from the Greek. Two times a Grand Slam champion in the true meaning of that phrase, Grand Slam. New balls.
That'll be annoying. Simple shot for Medvedev. Speaking of getting a bit too close to the ball, he did then. Just got caught with his feet, didn't give himself enough room to swing.
Patrick Mouratoglou, who helps Stefanos' dad in the coaching department. Apostolos, though, has guided his son's career.
You know, when I first saw Medvedev play, really, and studied him, was in the final of the Sydney International a few years ago. He beat Alex de Minaur, and I know he was already a good player at that stage, but I just thought he didn't have enough margin. Not enough margin for error on his shots, Robbie, and how wrong has he proved me? He's such an innate talent. He can hit the ball flat and hard like this, keep it in the court. He understands where the racket face is. That's the secret.
Yeah, it was an interesting tweet from Andy Roddick not so long ago where he says technique is overrated. Your ability to perform under pressure. If you're strong between the ears, you take that over good technique. Versus somebody who might have great technique, but under the microscope, they can't produce the same shot.
Medvedev leads by 5 games to 3.
The collar of their shirt gets a bit tight.
They start hitting shots with both hands around their neck.
That's a bad feeling. I know it well.
Ditto. There's nothing bad about that service hold. Efficient, fast, just what you want. There's that depth again. In many ways, I describe this guy as another version of Novak Djokovic. He suffocates you with length. And if you try and be aggressive off of it, you make unforced errors like that. Already 9 for Tsitsipas.
Guys, one of the contrasts that stands out here as well is just how they both carry themselves. Stefanos looks a little bit like Achilles out here. Just an amazing physical specimen, athletic, and Daniil looks more like he should be working in a bank sometimes. He's got a little bit of a slouch when he walks around, and he's just got this very thin, slight appearance to him that belies his ability and his strength.
I think he's got the ability to be an actuary too, Brad. He's good on the mathematics. He does fall a long way left sometimes, doesn't he?
Yep.
On that motion. His body weight went sideways then, more than normal. So right here, you feel Medvedev's on top, don't you?
Without a doubt. He's done such a good job of neutralizing this guy's strengths, the serve, the forehand.
Was ambitious, the backhand down the line. Gee, that was low percentage. He was good enough to hit it close to the corner, but it had to be even better than this to win the point because he was out of court. His backhand errors creeping up, aren't they?
To me, guys, that point right there and what we're seeing right now goes back to what I mentioned earlier about managing risk. Daniil is just managing the risk of shot making out here at a higher rate than Stefanos is right now. Stefanos trying to hurt him a little bit more on each and every swing, and he's just not able to do it with Daniil's court position.
Absolutely caught Croft.
Advantage, Tsitsipas.
Engaged him, denied him rhythm, and then just tapped his talent. He's got to make Medvedev step up to the line and try and serve this one out. And he's done just that. Greeks are happy, and why not?
Medvedev leads by 5 games to 4. Ready to play.
First point, so important.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter how much talking is going on during a service motion. Just delivers.
I wonder, as time goes on in his career, whether he will follow that ball to the net. He hit 2 excellent backhands across court there, Brad. What do you think?
I was thinking of you before you even made that comment, Fitz. Hey, that first backhand, it had a sign on it that said, "Follow me to the net," and he chose not to, and that's an area of his game that he can definitely improve, which is scary for everybody else.
Seems he's so comfortable back there, though, Brad. That's where he feels most at home. But I think to add that extra dimension will be a good prospect for him because, you know, he volleys well at the net. He's so skillful. He knows where the racket face is. We've talked about it on the volleys too. But at the moment, he feels like probably he's got Stefanos covered a little bit from the back of the court.
And I think also you look at the career arc of Novak or Rafa, who were guys that didn't come in very much at the early stages of their career, and how they developed and their capabilities to transition and come forward. And you see Daniil doing that much better in the next year and a half, 2 years. going to be really, really scary for guys to have to play.
2 set points here. I think that's the play. You know, 2 points ago, he lost that rally. He was comfortable. He hit the shot down the middle of the court, and Medvedev hit an inside-out backhand. But the 2 forehands before that Medvedev hit weren't great. Tsitsipas very comfortable on the baseline. He's found it again with good effect and good results.
Please.
There you go. Once again, he's getting the weak reply off the forehand.
I think Medvedev needs to be strong mentally here, because this is not a crowd necessarily against him. It's just that they're...
Please, no calling out during the service motion and in the points. Thank you.
Yeah, and good advice from James. It's more that there's so many Greek supporters here. They're all over their own man. He's got to be strong mentally, Medvedev.
He generally is, Fitz. I don't think that's something we actually have to worry about. I don't think he's gonna use the crowd as an excuse against him. If anything, I think he likes to feel like he's being pushed by that a little bit and overcoming that.
2 set points have come and gone. He's got a third. Just 138 kilometers an hour, that second serve. No racket head acceleration. That's why it's gone out. He hasn't imparted enough spin on it. Oh, what a time to mix it up.
He's an interesting cat to me, though. You know, like he hit his first double fault of the set when he set point up. That can shake a lot of people. He just puts it out of his mind. He somehow compartmentalizes that beautifully. Comes back the next point, hits the ace.
Yeah, one of the greatest skills you can have in our sport. Set point number 4, and he delivers another great serve. Gilles is happy, so is Daria. Most importantly, Daniil's a set to the good. 6-4. Quick look at the numbers there. No break points in the end for Tsitsipas. Testimony to how well this guy served and followed his serve in. How well he defended it. He was trying to outmaneuver him, pull him, push him, but early on it was Medvedev with all the answers. There's that flat backhand that Fitzy was talking about.
Yeah, I think he was the better player in the first set, wasn't he? He deserved the first set, Medvedev, and for me, the one thing that stood out really was the backhand errors. We got so used to Stefanos the other night hitting his backhand beautifully without missing.
To see if he fine-tunes his tactics. He finally did that in the third set against Rafa, just in the nick of time. Here we go, set number 2.
Out.
15 left.
He was asked about his mental state in that Nadal match.
15 all.
And he said he woke up the morning of the match and he felt incredibly serene, Fitzy. He felt like playing the match didn't matter, that he was 2 sets to love down. He almost played like he didn't care. Nicely done. That serenity, it can play a lot into your aura on the court, can't it? He said he felt, even though in hindsight he went down 2 sets to love, he said he felt good in the morning, that felt like he was going to get the win.
Wow. Well, as long as that serenity doesn't transcend into lack of adrenaline. You've got to get up for it too, don't you?
Yep.
But it's better to play as if you've got something to gain rather than play as if you've got something to lose. It's a different mentality, a much better one.
Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you use the word nirvana?
That's the word I was saving, but you've taken it from me there, Brad.
Should have messaged me before the match. And
yeah, the three words that I've highlighted: no care, serene, and nirvana. So he was in such a good mental state.
Well, maybe in layman's terms, it just means that he felt like he didn't have a lot to lose.
Yep.
And he could go out there and let it swing. Just try to play his best tennis. I wonder if tonight he's the same, though, because maybe tonight he feels like he's a better chance to win almost. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, when you go down the line, it is fraught with just a little more danger. Medvedev there in this exchange is going across court, the easier, safer option. Tsitsipas had the upper hand for most of that point, but he continued to go down the line to try to win the point and eventually makes the error. There's a apostolist saying there, calm down, take it easy. He needs that. He needs it tonight. Because you know Medvedev's going to get his fair share of free points on the first serve. Tsitsipas needs them too. Shoulders beautifully on that second to last forehand, set up the winner.
What a backhand that guy had.
Gee, I miss him.
What a character
Marcus,
as well.
yeah. He was a beauty.
Just too much fade on that. Oh, that was close.
There's that trajectory.
Guys, the one thing that Daniil Medvedev's done extremely well tonight is when he's lost that first point of the game, he's come back and dropped a bomb on the second point to get himself even right away.
It's a game of centimetres, isn't it? Sometimes the first one must have missed, in fact, by millimetres. That one just by centimetres. Can turn the scoreline.
See there when he lifts up his shirt how strong he is in his core. I think that's been the biggest advent in tennis fitness and tennis training in the last decade and a half. Core stability for these tall players, Fitzy, the ability to marry the coordination between the legs and the upper body.
Robbie, I would add to that, shoulder maintenance and hip maintenance.
Okay.
You just see the guys working so much these days on shoulder maintenance and hip maintenance. We know for a period of time, hips especially were a pretty common injury. You just don't see it quite as much now. The guys are just working at it. Every warm-up, you see the guys with the bands doing the shoulder work and doing the hip work almost every day, really.
Yeah, Leighton Hewitt springs to mind, Guga Quirton, Andy Murray more recently with hip issues. So Magnus Norman had to pretty much retire because his hips were shot. How good was that return?
How deep was he?
Insane return, you guys. Just insane from that position.
He almost hit that return from the Yarra River. That's how far back he was.
That's actually down the other end, but I hear you. I know what you mean, Robbie. Brad knows it was down the other end too because he dived into it a couple of times years ago.
It's never been the same since.
Out.
And if I'm Tsitsipas, again, I'm wanting this guy to beat me off that forehand side. Keep him running there. I'd still like to see a few more backhand slices to that side. That contact point.
Brad, I don't see him moving quite as sharply tonight, Tsitsipas, and I'm just wondering whether the backhand errors we're seeing is because he's a little late, not into position. He struggled with that one too at the net.
Fitz, I didn't want to mention it until I was more aware and trying to keep an eye on it, but at the end of the first set and in the first game of the second, there was some indication that maybe his quad might be bothering him just a little bit, and maybe he's still a little bit sore from that match the other night. So that could have something to do with what you're seeing with the movement.
Well, fingers crossed. It's something that will loosen up as time goes on. But you know, recovering from a 5-set match against Rafa Nadal is not easy, and that was a brutal physical match. So it might take him a set and a half to get back to feeling normal here.
Now sensibly directing shots to the forehand of Medvedev. It's quite animated. There's Apostolos. Petros, his brother, just sitting behind Dad.
Guys, one of the things I find entertaining and interesting is that we talked earlier about the spin and the differences in their swings, but those last two backhands that Daniil Medvedev had no rotation whatsoever. You could literally read the writing on the ball while it was going from one end to the other.
Is that what you call a knuckleball?
That's what we call a knuckleball in baseball, Fitz.
What's the cricket terminology? It's not a googly.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. I know cricketers don't bowl knuckleballs, but what is a ball that comes down with no spin on it? Robbie, come on, you're a cricketer.
Yeah, I guess in cricket you don't want too much spin on the ball, right? You just want a nice fast ball with a seam up, a little bit of swing on it. Yeah. Not sure if we have one of those in cricket.
The thing is, in baseball, and a knuckleball is the slowest pitch there is in baseball. Daniil is not hitting those balls slowly.
Let's stick with knuckleball.
Juice.
This thing had a bit of everything in the rally. Knuckleballs, slices, top spinners, fast balls. But it's still Medvedev who comes out on top every time. Medvedev gets that 1 or 2 backhands in a row. I'd say 2. He seems to take charge of the rally.
Yeah, and the longer the rally goes, it seems Medvedev's getting on top.
Tsitsipas.
I knew it as soon as it left his strings. That's how well he knows his swing, as you were suggesting, Fitzy. That's exactly if he's made good contact or not.
He's a surgeon, isn't he, though?
Guys, I just wanted to mention that, you know, earlier you talked about the comparison between their serves and whose serve might be better, but I think one of the key elements to the match is the return. Daniil Medvedev is just more consistent on the return, gets his teeth into this kind of a game. He just puts so much pressure on you, making you play every single point.
Yeah, he's certainly not winning too many easy points, is he, Stefanos?
Yeah.
Medvedev here really applying the screws.
Absolutely. And again, I think that backhand of Tsitsipas is going cross-court a little too often for my liking. When they get into that pattern, there's only one guy who's going to come out on top. He's hitting that backhand cross-court almost 80% of the time. It's right into Medvedev's wheelhouse. He's got a break point here as the Russian.
Let's for service.
That's a pity. That's a pity.
That was a phantom let, guys. I don't think anybody heard that.
The ghost that walks.
Stand and deliver. Mesmerizing from Medvedev. He gets the early break in the second, 2-1.
15 love.
Can't take the kid out of those Californians, can you? It's all about cementing the break now. A couple of decent serves.
Here I was thinking Brad Stein just loved muscle cars.
Don't you love?
Not so.
Not so.
Sports cars too, Fitz.
Let's for service.
Guys, those first 2 points go back to what I was mentioning before, and if we go back to that last game in the break, there's a little difference on consistency in serve return. I just feel that Stefanos just isn't quite as solid on the return as Daniil Medvedev, and I think that's a box that you can tick in Medvedev's direction that gives him a little bit of an advantage in the match.
Well, the unreturned serves for Medvedev are sitting at 49%.
And he's dropped off the pace a bit too there. Tsitsipas, that was a poor game from him. And
Medvedev leads by 3 games.
that state of mind that he showed us with throwing the bottle down. You know, I think it's there at the moment. He's got to stop that very quickly and readjust.
Yeah, he's having to work hard on his serve, no question about it, Fitzy. I mentioned 49% on return serves for Medvedev. For Stefanos, it's a lowly 24, so he's having to work so hard. Balls keep coming back. He's been pretty good at the net, 9 out of 10 so far.
Guys, there's a sense here of kind of foreboding from the Tsitsipas end. You can see his body language, his head's down a little bit. He's a little bit frustrated right now, not quite as much energy.
Yeah, he's lost his rhythm a bit, I think.
15-13.
Pressing more and more, wanting to keep the... He's tired of losing those long points. Wants to keep them a bit shorter. Maybe he's tired and he's tired of losing them.
It's not a good combination. Just a second ace. Sure,
that'll make you feel better, and he gave himself a little come on after that, trying to push himself for the energy, maybe recognizing that he was a little flat in those first couple of points.
14-13.
He's got to keep it to just the one break. Double break at this level. Can pretty much write the set off. Creativity. And he's showing us his full skill set. But he's still down a set and a break. All the preparation that goes into hosting an event like this it's huge at the best of times, let alone the worst, most challenging of times. Staff at Tennis Australia have been working overtime.
30-11.
I hope this tournament can leave a bit of a legacy, I really do, and in terms of the effort level it was to get this to the starting line and then get through it, the Australian Open, and I hope it does benefit for the community here and gives hope.
Let's for service.
And of course, Fitzy is part of that community.
You know, Brad, I'm interested to know what your feeling is. He looks like he's lost his mojo a little bit. Tsitsipas, the points are going very quickly. The energy level from him doesn't seem high enough.
Yeah, no, as I mentioned, the start of the last service game, those first couple of points, he kind of pushed himself a little bit there with a couple of comes on and came up with a couple of big serves, which helped him out of that. But yeah, you can just see the way he's carrying himself right now. He's a little bit down mentally, physically right now. He's going to have to pick it up if he wants to stay competitive in this match. I think on the other end of that, if you look at Medvedev, he definitely senses the drop. Obviously, he's got the break already, so he knows if he can keep pressing this, that he's just breaking Stefanos will a little bit as well. And he likes that.
Yeah. He relishes the kill, doesn't he? But he's serving so well. It's not like Tsitsipas is getting a lot of look-ins, aces, 3 points on serve. It's tough.
Just trying to get inside Medvedev's head there, read his body language. It was as if he was saying, you know, there was just like a wry half smile, wasn't there? Like he felt like he's in control here. He's got his prey on the run.
You guys, my Greek isn't great, but that was literally a cheerleader there that yelled out. I yell Stefanos, you yell Tsitsipas. Got the crowd going there for him.
He's going to need all the help he can get. Serving at 2-4, down a set.
He's on a roll, isn't he, the Russian? He's won so many matches, Robbie, in recent times. Winning breeds winning. He just believes he's going to win this.
Yeah, 19 matches in a row. And in that streak, 11 top 10 players have been put to the sword.
Guys, it's tough to beat the wall. Any of us that have gone out and hit balls against a wall, we know it's tough to beat the wall. And right now, Daniil Medvedev is playing like a wall.
Gee, wording it that way, it sounds like he did beat the wall occasionally, Robbie. I don't believe it.
I cheated, Fitz.
Let's for service.
Even when he does serve an ace. Because Medvedev beat the top 3 players in the world when he won the Tour Finals end of last year. I mean, that's how good he was. Consecutive matches. Oh, that is genius. Creativity. Our name is Medvedev.
Love for team.
Showing us his full repertoire off this backhand side. Look at the use of the left hand to draw that one cross court. Three chances to go up a double break. Boomski! Thanks for coming. Just like that, Medvedev breaks. It's 5-2. Double digits in the ace department now.
At this moment, he's not competitive, is he, Stefanos? He's not. I'm not saying he's not competing. That's, but he just looks worn out, doesn't he? He's just not hitting the ball well enough and getting to the ball. Even that return, he looks like physically he can't get there.
And I think the matchup is such a tough one for him, Fitz. He doesn't know where Medvedev's shots are going. He's leaning the wrong way there. 3 set points.
Let's for service.
You just have opponents that do that to you.
Fitz, you couldn't be more right. He just looks resigned right now, like he's just accepting his fate.
Game, second set.
And seals the deal with an ace. This has been Medvedev at his very best. He wins the second 6-2. First serve percentage, unbelievable from both guys. You'd think with Tsitsipas making 70% of his first serves, his win rate would be good. Well, it was at 48% in that last set.
And did I see 84% for Medvedev there?
You did.
Holy smoke. Hitting his first serve at that speed.
Now, only lost 1 point when his first serve went in. That was to break first time round.
He's just super confident. All these matches on the trot in a row he's won. He just believes. Well, if he can't make a stand here, Robbie, he's absolutely in trouble. Tsitsipas. It's a one-sided scoreline. Can he find some energy, some mojo?
Frozen rope, that's what that is. The ball has not deviated on its path.
Is this the second best backhand down the line in the world right now?
Depends who you ask.
I'm asking you. What do you think?
Yes, probably is, but only just. The guy in the finals got the best one.
Well, it's certainly a shot in the men's repertoire, men's game at least, that you need to make inroads and to hurt opposition players, that backhand down the line. The one where it's riskier, but the reward is oh so great if you're good enough to make it.
He's got him again.
Didn't get enough on this, did he? It was too slow.
He just holds it, doesn't he? At the last minute. Because there's such a big space between the hands, he can use his left hand so dominantly on the backhand. Straight nitro.
Guys, Stefanos is breathing really hard in the back of the court, trying to take a little bit of extra time. You can see how he's being pressed physically right now, trying to recover.
He's just been given a geometry lesson from Medvedev right there. It's got him a break point early on here.
to me, he's lost his fast twitch. He just looks heavy. And we're talking about one of the best athletes in the men's game here, Tsitsipas. He is not that tonight. He looks heavy.
Hey, guys, it's just a really, really tough ask for a guy to, 2 nights ago, basically have run a marathon, and now 2 sets to love down and an early break in the third. He's put himself in a position where he has to come back and run another marathon 2 days later. And that's the requirements, physical rigors of Grand Slam tennis.
15 love.
Yeah, I think that it almost makes your game go out of alignment too. You know, you start hitting shots and that you don't. I can't understand why you're missing. But let's give Medvedev credit where credit's due. This guy, he's one of the best in the world. He hasn't won a major yet. He will soon. Is it his time? I think it's certainly his time to be in the final of another Grand Slam.
I mean, he has been unplayable at the moment. Let's not forget he is on a 19-match win streak. 11 of those 19 wins have been against top 10 players. Became the first guy to beat the top 3 players in the world at the ATP finals. So that's the kind of form that he's been in of late. He's got the flat one, and he's able to create the angle as well with his forehand. Always pay so much attention to winners. They look spectacular, they make highlight reels, but never forget the forced errors like this. Just as important. He's on the board in set number 3.
15 love.
Well, playing like this, Medvedev just may have been too good anyway. I mean, you'd expect at this level he probably would have been, but Stefanos just has to start moving better and reacting if he's going to have any chance. He's just late on all the balls, isn't he? And that high percentage of first serves is just devastating for him.
Yep, got the 83% in this set. Of course, there haven't been that many service games, but for the match, he's sitting at 73. I mean, in this match, he's only lost 4 points on that first serve. That's how good it's been. It's so debilitating when you're the guy on the other side of the net, isn't it?
It's become a procession here.
Guys, he's just on cruise control with the serve. You look at his rhythm, a couple bounces, he goes into the motion. It's just automatic for him right now.
Cain, Medvedev.
I reckon we flood the court, see if this guy can walk on the water.
Medvedev leads.
That's how good he has been tonight.
I don't want Brad Stein to have trouble breathing down there, mate. I'm not sure how good he is with the freestyle.
I think he's amphibious right now, guys.
Doesn't matter what you do. Dry court, wet court, no problem for Medvedev. Another forehand that has burned through the air.
Laver Arena.
It's always an indication too, I think, if you start to miss the ball by a larger distance, it means significantly more about where you're at. You know, these great players, when they miss, they don't miss by much. If they miss by a long way, like that last forehand, they're either slow to the ball getting there or tired or, you know, just off their best. And Medvedev continues to threaten.
I think something you get an appreciation for when you watch these guys play court level is their dynamic movement and how often they're hitting balls at the end of their range. So if you're half a step slow, wow, you're severely hampered. You simply cannot get behind in a rally.
Serious trouble now, guys, down a break point. But you got to figure the other night against Nadal that Tsitsipas basically emptied his tank. And between now and then, he probably was only able to get it half full, maybe 3/4 full at the most. So he was really starting the match probably tonight at a little bit of a deficit.
Juice.
The battery hasn't fully recharged. It's a shame because it just goes to show how physical it is to win one of these majors. And while you're a young player, you're still building miles in your legs over the journey so that you get to the stage where you can win these tough 5-setters back to back and maybe go on deep into the second week. So he's done a mighty effort to get here. Probably played his best tennis in the quarterfinals. But he's not out of it. If he can just hold on here, keep asking Medvedev the question, stranger things have happened, but it's going to need to be pretty strange.
Yeah, Tsitsipas with that big battle against Kokkinakis that went the distance. Let's not forget that. One against Nadal. Medvedev had his against Krajinovic.
Well, they want to see more, that's for sure.
And how's this for end of range movement? Not once, but twice. And
Thank you.
great athleticism.
Giving himself a chance, at least, Robbie.
Yeah, he's hanging on in there.
Ready. Thank you. Players are ready. Thank you.
A physical start there from Tsitsipas, but it seemed to drain him also.
From the start of this game, Daniil Medvedev's been the guy in control. He started the game before the crowd had even quieted down. Didn't wait for the umpire to... The umpire did ask the crowd to quiet, but Daniil just tossed the ball up and he quieted them on his own by starting the point. He did the same thing again on the second point.
Brad, why did he go to the towel then on the side in the middle of, before the start of that last point?
Fitz, I think that was an absolute 100% response to the fact that Stefanos held him up a little bit before that point. He said, okay, you're going to hold me up. I'm going to walk over and go to the towel. That's why I'm saying he's dictating what's happening out here.
Well, he's down 15-40 all of a sudden, though.
Well, well, well. First break points of the match for Tsitsipas. He stayed home, looking for the one down the middle. And he almost made it. Good improvisation. It's not quite enough.
didn't have any effect in that game, Brad, down there. It seems like it.
They're going to start having an effect now, Fitz, that's for sure. I'm not sure you guys can even hear me.
There's a little bit of a situation like this in the Krajinovic match where he just got a bit irritated and he let it get to him. He's got to be careful it doesn't happen here because there's so much to be positive about. Forward momentum on that volley at all. I mean, halfway up the net, it wasn't even close. And this is just the kind of momentum that the Greek is looking for. Glimmer of hope. Well, that's been the best part of his game in the match, no question about it. 17 or 21 points won at net.
He's a classic at going about his business, though, isn't he? He's disappointed, Medvedev, but he just walks. He hits a cold win here. That's an excellent shot, and he just walks straight across. Ready for the next point. He just goes about his business.
And Medvedev, for the first time, is down in this set. It's Tsitsipas who leads 4-3.
Stefanos tried to physically urge himself on. He's got a little bit of a step going now in his body language.
Seats quickly, please. Thank you.
So in a situation like this, Medvedev goes straight back to refusing to miss and competing hard.
And that's been the biggest thing that he's been working on throughout the last couple of seasons. He's brought on board a sports psychologist. It's been well documented. Francisca Dorzay, a lady who's really helped him in that department. Not about the game, just to control his emotions.
Two. In. Thank you. 1 second, Daniil. Thank you.
Always good when you've got a couple of South Africans in the crowd.
Steady on.
Please.
Well, he goes across court, but it was pretty deep, and he should have made this volley. I'm not sure. He seemed to quit on this one. Just mishit it.
Yes, certainly not one of the strengths of his game.
Please.
Not comfortable at all at the net.
Brad, surely you didn't see this coming, because I don't think either Robbie or I had any clue.
No, not at all, Fitz. And I think it goes back to the previous game where he lost serve at 15-all. He tried to make it personal when Stefanos held him up on that point. And I think he just lost the plot for a minute as he went to the towel to try and basically say, oh, you're going to hold me up, I'm going to hold you up. Probably lost a little concentration as that was in his head, and we see the result.
But please be fair to both players. Thank you. Advantage, Medvedev.
First serve percentage has just dropped off in the last two service games. That was a big hold. A very important hole just to steady the ship.
Yeah, those windows of opportunities don't come around too often. That was a window there, a small one. One break point for Tsitsipas. That could change the course, certainly of this set, if he'd broken there, but Medvedev settling.
He's just snuck in there.
15.
That was naughty. Oh, so nice, Fitzy.
Robbie, can you say naughty again?
Oh, it's in. What a return. A little bit of luck there. Caught it late, Medvedev.
15-all.
Amazing return.
And as you were suggesting, the ability to know where that racket face is, measure the length of the court to perfection.
13-15.
He hits that forehand so well.
30-all.
It's like the DJ power fade, this one. Just hits on the inside of the ball a little bit. It's always moving away from you.
This is a big effort, isn't it, from Tsitsipas? He's fighting hard. He's just trying to stay alive and hang on, maybe even just to a tiebreaker in this third set to see if his body might wake up fully.
Guys, it was interesting in the previous point. It's one of the first times I would say that Medvedev's made a bit of a tactical error. He, in the middle of that point, for some reason, he hadn't done it previously, but he took all the pace off of a forehand, tried to lift it through the court, and just came up short and got him in trouble. Wouldn't expect to see that again.
Advantage, Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas just a game away from winning this third set. He leads 5-4. Coach Patrick Mouratoglou, the rest of his team, maybe he can draw on their energy. Serving to stay in the set.
His first step looks a little quicker there, Brad.
Yeah, he's energized, guys. The crowd has gotten him going. He's found something down deep and is pushing himself a lot more. And this crowd's going to go nuts if he can win this set.
How about this?
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair to call this a monumental turnaround. I mean, this is... No one saw this turnaround coming, surely.
First service.
I'm just wondering if these are just more games that Tsitsipas is playing. He prodded him once, and as Brad said, he got a reaction. And it was just a small prod, wasn't it, Brad? Just
15-13.
to see if he would get something out of Medvedev, and he did.
Yeah, we know these guys' history a little bit, and Daniil definitely turned it into a little bit of a personal battle. He'd been so inside of himself, just playing within himself and playing so well until that point, and I think he just lost the plot there for a minute on that.
It just goes to show you how fragile that mentality can be when you're just in that Zen mode. You don't want to get out of it. That's more like it. First serve has come back. That was the key as well when he was just cruising through the service games. It was so metronomic, wasn't it? The rhythm.
It was sort of 75–80% there, wasn't it? First serves into play at this speed. That's quite impressive.
It's down to 67 now. But a couple in a row when he really needed them.
Yeah, he needed to play well there at that moment, Medvedev, because if he'd gone down this set, well, if he lost that game and lost the set 2-1, it is a little bit of a different ball game. Now he's still got a live, excellent chance of finishing it in 3. So 3 chances, this set and 2 more. Odds still heavily in his favor, obviously.
miss that wide, can you?
He's an interesting mover, Medvedev, for me. Yeah, no, you can't miss. Sorry, mate, you can't miss this drop volley wide. You take the sideline out of play, Robbie, don't you? But he was just a little slow getting there, I think. It probably caused that. But I just find Medvedev an amazing mover for a man his size. You know, he's a lithe athlete. There's not much of him. And he stands so far back, but boy, does he cover the court well.
Love 30.
Didn't look like making that volley.
There it is.
He certainly keeps hitting out, doesn't he, Medvedev? He doesn't go into his shell, even when the pressure's been on this last 15 minutes. Backs himself.
Enjoyed that one. Held the grunt. Three break points for Medvedev.
The high lob will ask the question.
15-14.
You remember back in Stefanos' last match against Rafa. Rafa was up 2-0 into the breaker. A high lob came down. He probably should have let it bounce, and it turned the match. This is not an easy shot.
He's done very well there.
Come on!
Medvedev goes mainline with a backhand. Now, will serve for a spot in his very first Australian Open final.
Well, a good choice from Medvedev. He went at the body there because it was too low, really, to angle it either way past Tsitsipas. Couldn't get enough speed on it, so he decides to go at the body and try to make contact with that body, which would give him the point.
It's been the silver lining in Tsitsipas's game. Number of points won at net. He's won almost 80% of the points when he's come in. It'd be interesting to get his thoughts on whether he should have come in more. Could he feel like he had the opportunities to come in? I think that's the question we have to ask.
He needs his athleticism, though, doesn't he, when he comes forward? And if he was feeling sluggish, he may be in trouble. But I'm amazed at how mellow the box is in for Medvedev. Gilles Savara, they're just incredibly together, quiet, not overly excited, just clapping briefly right to the end.
After just over 2 hours, he's got 2 match points.
Please.
What a way to book your spot in your very first Australian Open final. A masterclass from Medvedev. He was simply too good in all departments for Tsitsipas. He takes him down in straights, 6-4, 6-2, 7-5.